Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 226, being recorded on November 7th, 2012. I'm Ryan Schrow.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Allyn Malventano.
Josh, are you growing your hair back for Movember?
What hair?
What hair?
The one on the top of your head.
There's
one,
no hair
the
on
one
the
of
top
them.
of my head.
Oh,
Well, as I pointed out to one of the guys,
I thought you just shaved it.
You got sprit gum and armpit hair.
right.
You can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Anyway, I know, Jeremy, that's what you're doing, right? I assumed.
It's true.
All right. How's progress going?
chance-
Let's see.
Well, it's sort of getting there.
I
But,
can't.
I mean, chances are good that you know somebody or are related to somebody who has a prostate. So think about it.
I may know somebody.
The only thing that's left growing is the goat. Everything else has disappeared.
Did you have
wow.
a laser surgery and removed?
Laser surgery.
Did you get that laser comb?
And my glasses.
All right, this is the PC Perspective Podcast. We sometimes talk about computer hardware. We're going to do that for a little bit as well. Quick notes out the beginning, out the gate. If you are watching us live, we hope you do. It's pcper.com/live. We record it on Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, whatever. That's daylight standard, whatever. I don't really keep track of that crap anymore. You get to see all the funny stuff and build up beforehand and the post stuff. One of the things we're going to do after the podcast tonight is we're going to play some Battlefield 1942. That's right. And I was surprised by this. It was released in 2002. I felt like it was a lot older than that. But it came out in 2002. EA is giving it away. You can download it absolutely for free through Origin. Yes, you have to have Origin installed. I know it's the end of the world for some of you. But you can get it for free. We're going to jump on. We're going to play some Battlefield 1942. And see how laughably funny it is. The system I'm playing it on is going to have a GTX 690 in it. So I should be able to max out settings. Probably. We'll see how that goes. Also, tomorrow...
Hey, bit of trivia. Where did they launch that game at?
Like what country or...
Well, in the U.S. They had a launch
like
party
a launch
where...
party? Pearl Harbor.
No. The Hornet in San Francisco.
Man, that place is...
Oakland.
That place has been run hard, put up wet, hadn't it?
Alameda,
Yeah.
where the nuclear vessels are.
Well, they were, right? I don't think they are.
No, not anymore.
Yeah.
Alameda was shut down.
Also, if you're watching this live, if you're watching this after the fact, it may be too late, but we're going to host another game stream tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We're going to be playing some of the new Medal of Honor Warfighter. Make sure you stop by and join us again at pcper.com/live for that as well. All right, let's jump into content, reviews, things like that. We're not going to talk about politics because that's not what we do. We talk about making fun of each other and technology.
Nothing changed. It's all the same as it ever was. So what was I
Right,
talking
so
about?
it's like the election never
As
happened.
days go by.
We just wasted $4 billion.
Yeah.
And it's like we wasted the value of LucasArts.
Could have bought so many SSDs.
Right. Oh yeah. Several SSDs.
Okay, well, let me ask you this.
No. Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So that money, where does it go?
To media companies, essentially.
Yeah, media companies, workers, food, clothing.
Yeah.
And so
How does it go to food and
usually,
clothing?
Who gives all that money to these campaigns?
Rich people.
Isn't this basically a tax?
It's a tax on the rich, of course.
Exactly. So we're just going to keep going higher and higher
Thank
with the
you,
amount
Karl
of money
Rove.
spent because it's wealth redistribution.
I like it. I like where this is going. Not really. Let's move on. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a new case review. This is the Corsair Vengence C70. It's not brand new case anymore, but Lee just finished and published the review for us at pcper.com. You can see here, it is a relatively low cost case, I believe. What is it? What's the price on this? It's like $69 or $70, $100, something like that. But you can see it is available in 3 fantastic colors: black, white, and military green. Yeah, it has handles on the top. It is outfitted with a liquid cooling upgradability option. You can get a 240 millimeter radiator on the top of the case. It's a pretty nice looking design. It's different than I think most of the other Corsair options recently. Just in terms of the styling and design and that kind of stuff. Let me see if I can show here the current specs, what we've got here. It does have 8 expansion slots. It's technically a mid-tower made of steel, 3 5 1/4 inch base for all those optical fanatics out there. front USB 3, all that kind of stuff that you would expect. There's some box pictures if you're interested in that. And then we look real quick at the photos of this one. Here is our green model. You can see it does have a window. It's not 100% transparent. It looks like it's kind of got a like a smoke effect to it or something like that, but it's got room for some fans. Handles up top are sturdy enough to kind of pick up and lift the case for, otherwise that would be stupid. For some reason, this makes me smile. I guess that's the reset button right there that has like the plastic cover.
It's under the little plastic
like you have
about the glove
to
cover.
Yeah, exactly. And I that's just like a really funny touch. Nothing,
No, that's good if you got kids.
that's true. I have been known to hit my reset button or something with my knee underneath the desk.
Although is there one on the power
that's
button?
not a reset button.
It's not
Is
my knee.
is there a cover on the power button as well?
Is there a what? I'm sorry.
Is there a cover on the power button as well?
Doesn't look like it. I think that's that red
So
button
then
in
that's
the
the kid argument just went away.
middle. Oh,
Well, no, you just put it to sleep.
That's true. Right in the middle of your like important.
that's true.
whatever.
You're not doing a hard reset with the power button.
True.
Not anymore, at least. So Lee liked it. Good an overall pretty decent, not a great case, but a pretty good case. Where does these list the price here? $139. I was off.
Well, you can get it for about 80 with rebates right now. They're on special.
All right, so not too bad there. We did get one of the 200Rs in that we talked about when Linus was on the show, and we're gonna go through that pretty soon too. But it did get a silver award from Lee. So Corsair C700 Vengence. I think maybe they're beginning to overuse the Vengence brand. They got Vengence memory, Vengence keyboards, mouse. There's my pick. Get those mouse pads out for me. I'm going to show you the mouse pads that Corsair that we got last week. They're not as big as we thought they were.
Kingston does the HyperX thing on everything.
Yeah, they do. They do. Let's move on to the next thing. We had a introduction of our new motherboard reviewer. Actually, I guess I should have brought him on the podcast, but we'll try to do that in the next week or so. Maury reviewed the ASUS P8 Z77WS workstation motherboard from ASUS. I think I already said that. It's interesting. If you look at the pictures of it, it kind of looks like almost kind of looks like a mid-range board, just like in the design, the coloration, what it looks like. But it's probably the highest end board you can get from ASUS with the Z77 platform on it. It doesn't have Thunderbolt. That's kind of the one thing that it doesn't have. But what you can see here in kind of like this, let's see if I can zoom in on this any features list, is it does have good power phase, 16+4 on that. It's got dual Intel LAN. It's what did they tell me today? This is the L series. I don't know if you know anything about that, Alan. It's a little bit higher end, offloads a lot of the compute, a little bit better performance.
Which what?
It's the Intel LAN L series controllers, gigabit controllers.
Yeah, it does that. I think it's got like its own. It does some of the processing on the chip.
Well, there is two of them, so that's going to help raise the cost. It has ASUS SSD caching on there. It's also going to, do something. It's also the only Z77 board, maybe not the only one, but one of the few that actually supports quad SLI, quad crossfire. So they have a PCI Express 3.0 bridge controller. You can see here how we have the spaced out well for 2-slot cards across the way. And it's all PCI Gen 3 all the way across, all the way, double rainbow.
All the way.
Double rainbow. What other kind of key features here? It has all the stuff that we've seen on the Z77 platforms before. It's got USB 3.0 boost, UASP support. It's got the fan controller software and that kind of stuff, where every fan header is controllable by this software. 4-way SLI being the big one-upsmanship on that. It's they label it as a workstation platform. Will it overclock? Yes, it still will. Will it be a great gaming machine? Absolutely it will, especially if you're going to do 3 or 4 GPUs. But the idea, obviously, it's kind of branded as a workstation board because if you're going to use a Quadro card and a Tesla card, or a Quadro card and 2 Tesla cards, and you're doing a lot of compute intense stuff, this is the kind of platform that makes sense for that. Let me look here at just the board layout and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so you see, I mean, it's other than that, it just as its appearance, it doesn't appear to be anything super high end, but this little ASUS logo lights up when you're running a PCI Gen 3, I think, which is not really that big a deal. But hey, They put it on a workstation board. It still has front panel USB 3. Ooh, it has a serial port as well. You guys, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah?
All server boards are going to have that.
Oh, well. It's got four-way crossfire, or I'm sorry, four-way SLI, four-way cross... Damn it.
You know why, right?
No.
You can go into the BIOS through the serial port.
Okay.
It's for like remote admin stuff.
Okay. I guess for a server board, I mean, this is a workstation board, not necessarily the same as a server board, right? I mean, it's...
Yeah, but they probably just carried over some of the... Because people will still use those. You could probably still install that in like a workstation or a server chassis
Gotcha.
kind of stuff.
Maury did do overclocking on it. We went through all of our performance testing. I won't go through that. If you want to see the performance testing, go to the review at PCPro.com and look that up. But he did do overclocking testing through the Turbo V software in Windows and through the UEFI and that kind of stuff. If we look at the manual overclocking results, it looks like he was able to get the system up to... Where's the result here? Or am I missing that? I guess I'll just look at the CPU-Z shot. 4.429 gigahertz. That's a 103 megahertz bus and a 43 megahertz multiplier. So not too bad. Kind of right in line with where we've seen other of our Z77 platforms and that kind of stuff. And finally, power consumption. If you care about that, bundled applications, the fan controller, the sensor recorder, SSD caching, pricing. Not super cheap, not as expensive as a premium board, but not, a budget option in any way. It's $339 on NewEgg, $342 on Amazon, $339 on Tiger Direct as of when these were published. So, it's definitely make sure this is a board that you need these specific features on, like the Quad SLI, Quad Crossfire support, before shelling out the money for it. Also a Silver Award winner as well. If you like over-the-top systems, we reviewed one of those this week as well, the Origin Genesis. This is it was heavy. It came shipped in a crate. Let's see, where's the picture of it? There's a picture of a crate. Anytime things show up in a crate, I'm generally kind of easily impressed, I guess. Anytime I have to use a drill to open up a box. So what do you get inside this system? It's a Corsair 800D chassis. Nothing we haven't seen before there, but 1200 watt power supply, Sandy Bridge E clocked at 4.9 gigahertz. All the cores, all the time, 4.9 gigahertz. Interestingly, it does use an Intel X79 motherboard, not like ASUS or MSI or Gigabyte. Origin was very, they talked very upbeat about the Intel platform. Obviously, the big shining feature here are the dual GTX 690s running in Quad SLI. So essentially 4 GK104 GPUs. The CPU is water-cooled through a custom kind of coolant configuration. That's how they're able to get 4.9 gigahertz out of it. 480 millimeters of radiator, a triple 120 up top and a single 120 on the side. And then there you can see the DX79SR motherboard labeling and the Ice Dragon cooling liquid. Doesn't that look cool?
Ice Dragon. Doom, 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 doo, doo, doo.
Yeah, and then this I wasn't super happy with. You can see the back, the wire, kind of like the cable clutter.
Wow, that's gross looking.
For a $5,500 system, that's not good. Right? That's not great. And people on the YouTube video
I
definitely
vomit
comment on it.
prettier than that.
I disagree. Never seen it in person, just saying. Oh yeah, last feature, check out the sweet LED lights. And it's adjustable RGB. I think I still have the remote control technically because I accidentally forgot to send it back. Oops. But you can adjust it to, I don't know, I don't want to say every color, but let's say 32. I'm just going to throw that out there. And you can make it flash or rotate between them and that kind of stuff. And it was bright. It did good. Good looking system. You have to be the right kind of person willing to spend $5,500 on a computer. But if you like performance, check out the CPU benchmarks. Cinebench 11.5 render test multi-thread. You can see here up top, Origin Genesis Sandy Bridge G at 4.9 gigahertz. And then you drop pretty substantially to get to that AVA Direct Mini Ivy Bridge system that was running at 4.4 gigahertz. And you drop more down to like the Core i7-3770 at its default setting. So not quite double the performance of the 3770K, but, a good amount. I'd say probably 70% or something like that. And if we look at X264 first pass, a little bit better, not anything substantial. But if we look at the second pass, which is where the multi-threadedness really comes into play, you can see there 59% faster than the overclock system and 77% faster than the single or the reference default stock 3770K. Battlefield 3, it played very well, as you might expect.
How about Battlefield 42?
Battlefield 1942, it hadn't been released for free yet. The system has already been sent back. I only have one GTX 690 remaining. I'm sorry. That's why it's still in that system now. So yeah, it performed very well. It is a $5,500 computer. If you are the type of user, buyer, consumer that is thinking about buying $5,500 computer, I'm not going to convince you one way or the other on lots of different subjects, but it's a good machine. Origin has some cool stuff like lifetime support, lifetime technical support, email, phone calls, forums, that kind of stuff. And they'll even, you can send your system back and have them upgrade the platform and that kind of deal. And all the labor is free, but they only charge you for the shipping and the hardware and that kind of stuff. So some cool stuff like that. If you want to see what a $5,500 computer is like in benchmarks and performance, go to the review. Check out the video on our YouTube channel as well. It's nifty. It's expensive, but it's nifty. And finally, Silverstone 450 watt SFX. Did you guys know that SFX was a form factor for power supply?
Yeah.
No.
I did not know. Jeremy, you knew?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's this stupid small form factor. It's not like a server sized or anything like that. It's just kind of stubby.
Yeah, if you look at the picture here in the article, you'll see it. So actually, what I thought originally when I looked at this picture was that I was looking at it at a 90-degree rotation than I normally would, and that they had actually, rather than it being a power supply that they shrunk, they kind of squished together between the power connector on the back and the connectors on the inside of the case, that they like moved the connectors to the side for some reason, and now I realize that they just squished it. And it's basically a power supply form factor meant for home theater PCs, small form factor cases, that kind of stuff. I just thought we'd point this out here because Lee wrote this review up and it did really well. We don't normally see 450 watt power supply reviews anymore. And when these guys want to send out power supplies, they're sending out super high-end objects. I think we actually have one coming next week of like a 260 watt power supply for small form factor systems. So if you're looking for low power stuff, Llano based platforms, et cetera, Trinity, that kind of deal, take a look at that. So, as you can tell, you look here, you're not going to get the same amount of cables that you would out of a 1200 watt power supply. You got your ATX, you got, looks like you got two PCI Express by 16s, a Molex, and a SATA. Get over it. Cables aren't very long, so don't expect to put this in like a 800D and have that work correctly. So not too bad there. And like I said, he definitely liked this power supply. 800 plus gold. I think that's it. That rounds up our articles, stories, reviews, I guess, for the week. Is that it?
If only you had writers that would actually release their articles on time. Yeah.
We can all dream, can't
What would
we?
that be like? What would that be like?
If only you had a dream sequence you could look up and have the
Ken, where's the thought
music
bubble
and it
coming
wavers out.
Brian's head.
Yeah.
This is the Wayne's World thing. We'd all be millionaires, except Ken. Anyway, we'll take a quick break here. We will thank today's podcast sponsors, our friends at MSI. They continue to love us. We hope you love them back in a completely clean, platonic way. So here again is Alex to remind you about one of their latest products.
The all-new Z77 M-Power mainboard from MSI is poised to change the overclocking game. Every Z77 M-Power board will have a factory 24-hour military-class burn-in test completed before shipping. Additionally, performance-optimized features such as Go-To BIOS, Multi-BIOS 2, V-checkpoints, Bluetooth 3.0, and onboard Wi-Fi allow users convenience and total system control over their overclocking and gaming experience. This is the new endurance champion, Z77M Power from MSI.
Hey, thank you, Alex, for that. All right, let's get into some news. Interesting week. Not a big news breaking set of subjects, but there are some interesting things. Oops, I just opened up the wrong window here. So, Jeremy, I'm going to have you talk to me about something called Intel's Crystal Forest. This is apparently something that's coming to a network appliance near me, and I don't know what that means.
Well, everything from like riverbed caching devices straight through to high-end routers. It looks like Intel now wants Intel Inside to be appearing in a bunch of different places in the server room, up to and including the spots where you used to see Cisco things. So this is, an undisclosed processor. They're not really saying what it is. Crystal Forest is going to be the new chipset, and they've also released a data plane development kit and a software development kit for essentially fast-path network applications. So T1 routers, high-end stuff that for the most part you're seeing, a couple of companies like Wind River and Emerson Network, Dell to a certain extent, but for the most part you see Cisco devices. So Intel is looking to get into this business, and on the one hand you're sort of saying, well, who cares? Why do you need like a powerful, probably still fairly low heat and low power Intel processor? Why do you need an Intel processor? Why can't you just get an ASIC or just a single purpose chip? Well, one of the reasons they're talking about on-the-fly encryption. So encryption from device to device, which for the most part can be really nice because your data stream is encrypted pretty much the whole way. The other thing that I can think of is these guys just recently dumped a whole load of cash to buy an antivirus company. And one of the things that they were talking about with that was getting antivirus onto the silicon, not just on the desktops, but also at the network level. So I think what we're seeing here is probably going to be Crystal Forest-powered routers that are going to have built-in encryption, built-in antivirus, and God only knows what other special sauce they're going to toss in there. But, it's going to be interesting to see if they can compete once again in a firmly embedded market like they seem to like to do lately. Let's take on Apple. They're nothing. That should work out just great. So now
once you take over the market
Cisco.
you're already in, you have no
be a problem.
choice. Right? I mean, once you're the dominant player in one as a company, what's next? Let's go take over somebody else's world.
AMD, you go sit on the bench for a while. You're being kind of boring. So we're going to go find someone else to pick on.
Right. Interesting. All right. Something else that I think this was announced a couple of weeks ago, but the reviews were finally released for the Google Nexus 10 tablet. We don't actually have a review on PCPro.com, but Tim wrote up a story kind of detailing some of the other reviews from Engadget, The Verge, SlashGear, those guys. And reminder, the Nexus 10 10-inch tablet powered by dual-core ARM Cortex A15. It has a resolution of 2560 by 1600, exceeding the pixel per inch density of the iPad. Is that right? PPI, pixels per inch. Well, it's kind of density, right? I don't know. Of the latest iPad as well. So the reviews actually.
Fourth gen or third gen?
What's that?
Fourth gen or third gen? Oh wait, they're the same, right?
Oh yes.
Oh.
I have the third though. I don't know. I mean, it has the processors are clocked at 1.7 gigahertz. It's got a Mali T604 GPU, 2 gigs of RAM, 1632 gigs of storage, a 9,000 milliamp hour battery. I don't really know how that compares to like the iPad. I think that's pretty high. Bluetooth 4.0, 802.11 BGN. It's got NFC, so you can take this out of your backpack. Or I know that's too big for Allyn. You can take it out of your backpack to pay for stuff at the stores when you go in. And it's the first device to use Android 4.2. So you got that going for you. $399 for the 32 gig version. That's $100 less than the lowest priced iPad 3, iPad 4th gen, whatever the hell you want to call it, which is impressive. Any thoughts on this, Josh, in terms of, I was kind of worried that a dual-core platform for a 2560 by 1600 resolution tablet may be underpowered.
I don't really think so, because in the CPU area, running at 1.7 gigahertz with dual core. That's going to do a lot of stuff. I mean, Android is multi-threaded, but it's not threaded all that great, from what I understand. It's just kind of it's a Java machine on top of Linux. Am I incorrect? And
I don't think so. I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty close.
yeah, and so it doesn't really help a whole lot now. The new Mali graphics, the T603,
604.
whatever. Anyway, it's their brand new architecture, and so it's a much more modern graphics than the earlier Mali cores, as well as like it's a step above the Adreno 200 series, like the 225 that's in the Galaxy S3. It's kind of comparable to the Imagination. In fact, I think it is a little bit more advanced than the Imagination tech that they have in the Apple. But the thing about that Imagination part is that they're able to add, the four graphics cores all together into one kind of chip to give better performance with that higher resolution. So, what do the reviews say about? I never did get a chance to read, because that was one thing I was curious about. This is one of the first products that not only has A15 in there, but it's the new graphics part from ARM.
I think they were all pretty positive. I mean, I think
what I'm hearing is it's a damn good thing it's so cheap.
Oh, really?
Not necessarily in a bad way.
Oh.
We're saying if you're going to try and price it directly against some of the competition, it would not be good.
Oh,
but because we're looking at a significant discount, hey, not a bad deal.
I think it'll be interesting. I want to buy one. I think they go on sale like November 13th or 17th or something coming up soon. I definitely want to get one in here and play around with it. Corsair continues to be on a product announcement spree. Continuing on with a new series of hydro liquid coolers. I think we talked about the H60 a couple weeks ago. And H55, that's right. Well, now they've announced the Hydro H100i and the H80i. And what's the hook with these is that they will allow you to monitor and adjust fan speeds and that kind of stuff through Corsair's Link dashboard software. Now, this is software that Corsair's been developing for a long time. It was really kind of started as a case fan controller software. The ability to monitor your power supply was then added when they launched the AX1200i power supply, the first one to integrate that as well. And as the I indicates here with the H100 and the H80, you are now moving into being able to monitor that kind of stuff with your cooler as well, which is potentially nice. I assume that they have temperature monitoring. I don't know if that's the case though. Did you guys?
Well, I think the H80i is essentially the same water cooling unit as the Ace Tech unit that AMD bundles with their the high-end FX processors. It's that double wide radiator.
Right.
It's the push me pull you fan on it. It's got the fan controls, temperature monitor, all that stuff. Plus, I think you can even change the LED lighting.
Yeah, actually, out of the box compatibility with Corsair Link provides control over fan speeds and noise levels, pump head LED lighting customization, and the ability to create custom cooling profiles. An additional Corsair Link digital connector on the pump head provides monitoring and control of other devices, such as Link-equipped power supplies, lighting nodes, cooling nodes, Airflow Pro memory activity, and temperature monitor kits. So it doesn't sound like you get temperature monitoring by default. Yeah, but I mean, CPU monitoring, temperature monitoring, I guess, through like ADA64 or whatever else you use might be useful for that. This also has a new installation mechanism. You can see kind of like there's a hexagonal shape at the top of this, which will supposedly make installation a little bit easier on these devices, because they have been kind of a pain if you've got like the multi-teeth mode of that and stuff. We did get an H60 in, just opened it up and looked at it real quick. We're going to do a little video on it hopefully really soon here as well to see if it is actually easier to install than the previous models that we've seen. H100i will be $120 and the H80i will be $100. Creeping up in cost, right? Remember when these self-contained kits were out there? I don't think these are outside what other vendors are selling it for. I don't think Corsair is outside. They're pricing it higher than others. But I used to be able to recommend these kind of self-contained water coolers because they were just as cheap as high-end heatsinks, right? $60, something like that. And now we're getting to the $100 and above range, even for the H80, which is a 120 mil, a single 120.
Yeah, but that's a pretty beefy part. I know using this ASEC that I've got here. At idle, it's something like 26C. At full load, at full speed, it gets up to maybe 32C. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
They do well.
Well, they cool.
Yeah, I agree. No argument there. I just when the H18 or the H100 came out the first time, I think that was the first one that kind of was like in the 120, 130 range. So we'll test it out and we'll see if the kind of Corsair Link activated versions of these really warrant new models or new charges or anything like that. I don't know. I'll be curious.
Now, don't these coolers and the AXi series power supplies that they also just released, where you can get the AX ones, which are 80 plus platinum, the AXi,
right,
which are AXi, which are 80 plus platinum plus with the Corsair Link as well. Mm-hmm. Does anybody remember NVIDIA ESA?
Yes, this is exactly the same idea.
And, on the one hand, okay, at least these guys are actually making the parts that you're monitoring, as opposed to NVIDIA, which just wanted to be included in monitoring the parts that were being made. Like, ESA really took off, didn't it? Everyone uses it nowadays?
No. Yeah, see, trust me, I get you. And when, I think it wasn't this Computex because I didn't go to this one, but it was a previous Computex. I think when Corsair first showed us, here's our ideas, here's our plans for Corsair Link. And that was my first response. I was like, hey guys, this has been tried before and it wasn't very successful because, as it turns out, very few people buy all of one vendor's products, right? And they had trouble getting ESA adoption across the board on various places. Now, Corsair has done a very good job in the component space: cases, coolers, power supplies, memory. What else am I missing? Keyboards and mice, mouse pads now, things like that maybe give them a little bit of an advantage there, because I don't know. I don't know how many people buy a Corsair case and then go, well, I obviously have to buy a Corsair power supply. And, well, I surely should have a Corsair memory as well, and I should definitely get this Corsair cooler. I think more people will be either they're not upgrading their parts all at the same time, or they're going to look for parts that are on sale. Maybe they'll get that Antec water cooler, that Thermaltake water cooler, but they're going to buy HyperX memory because that's on sale, or it fits their lighting scheme, or whatever it is. So I don't know. I think the idea of ESA was awesome, and the idea of Corsair Link is awesome. Here's one piece of software where all of your components inside actually talk to each other and do something interesting, right? Now you can set up a profile to monitor your power consumption. If your power consumption is low, you can automatically turn down fan levels. You can turn down, maybe you clock down your memory and that kind of stuff. But as soon as power consumption goes up, it knows you're gaming or using your CPU. Let's overclock the memory. Let's turn on the fans that point at the GPU, and let's increase the pump speed on that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of interesting ideas you could do. It just needs to be wrapped up in a really good way. And writing that kind of software is hard. And I don't know how much. I don't know if that's an in-house team for Corsair, if it's something that's third party out and that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Have you guys used any of it? Anybody else used Corsair Link? I mean, I've only played with it truly with the power supply and when we did some of the case demo stuff.
No, I haven't seen it in the wild.
Yeah. I don't know. You did bring up the new power supplies that they launched, Corsair as well. They launched AX860, AX760, and then they launched the I variations of those as well. Same idea, introducing the same features that they had with the AX1200i into these lower cost, lower wattage power supplies. The cool stuff you can do, right? You can monitor your voltage, monitor your usage per rail. You can monitor how much wattage you're pulling at any given time. You can set fan speeds and all that kind of stuff accordingly. The AX860i is going to be $219. The 760i will be $229. Wait a minute, that's not right. $249 and $229. I'm sorry. 860i 249, 760i 229, and then about $20, $30 less for the non Corsair Link enabled versions of those power supplies. So Lee has a pair of these as well, so he will be doing a full review of these units to see what their capabilities are. I think Corsair continues to build high quality power supplies. They're not cheaping out on a lot of stuff. Fully modular, which I personally am a fan of. You can see here, especially when building. We used the Corsair 1050 in the system I built for myself, and I really didn't need that many power connections. So it was nice to be able to even completely take those out of the system and not worry about the mess and that kind of stuff.
That's a lot of money though for that wattage.
For like an 860 or 760.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they are.
760.
They're platinum. What'd you say they were, Jeremy?
80 plus platinum.
Okay, so that's where a lot of the cost comes in, right? Is the platinum level of efficiency, I guess. I would tend to agree that if you can get a gold, 80 plus gold for $50 less, or more, or lower, then that makes a lot more sense. But
well, I mean, it's good to be power efficient, but at the same time, some other sites have sort of taken a look at what price premium do you pay on some of these 80 plus rated systems versus how much are you actually going to save over a year, or in fact, how long is it going to take you to pay for the difference in price? And generally, it's longer than the warranty of the PCU or the PSU.
Yeah. Maybe I'll ask Lee to look into that. That'd be something he'd be interested in doing. All right, let's talk to Allyn about a kind of an interesting announcement from Intel about the. This is obviously not a consumer-branded part because it has a very not easy to kind of remember name. The DCS 3700 series of SSDs.
Yeah, DC standing for data center, so definitely not consumer.
Okay, gotcha. That's a lot easier.
And
It's
S, I
data,
believe, is
not
for-
data. Data is who you go home to at night. Or at least you do, probably.
No.
No, he goes home to steaming piles of data.
Yes, basically. So here's what we're looking at. This is the long-awaited Intel-made SSD controller that is serial ATA 6 gigabit. Finally.
Okay. So this is not a
it's only been
SandForce.
since what, the X25 that we've
This is
seen truly new silicon?
Yeah, since the X25 or since the 320 series or the 710 series, right? Because Intel kept like recycling that same controller.
Sure, but the X25 was the first one to use it. So that was the first time we saw. That was the last time we saw new silicon.
Basically, yeah, it was just slight modifications to it, but other than that, it was just the same 10-channel thing the whole time. And this is actually so far different that it's not even 10-channel anymore. So this is an Intel-created controller, supposedly, like their hardware, their silicon, of course their firmware, everything else. But it's an 8-channel controller, so I guess they fell in line with everybody else.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to basically walk all over the 710 series, which was what was previously the insanely over-provisioned version of a 320.
Okay.
Basically, they took what was a 320, and I mean, even the PCBs were identical. I mean, you could just sit them side by side, and it was basically the same drive, just with different firmware and slightly higher binned flash memory on there, so that it could get higher endurance. And then they over-provisioned the heck out of it, like the 300 gig 320 turned into a 200 gig 710. All right, and costs a bunch more. Okay, so that's a lot of that stuff is stuff that they're fixing here. So the interface is twice as fast as any of Intel's previous serial ATA server class products. The reads, they just flat out say, look, it's twice as fast on reads, of course, because the 710 was pretty much just bandwidth limited there. But the writes is the important thing. They're saying 15 times faster, especially if it comes to like 4K random access. Wow. So they've engineered this controller for this drive and how it handles wear leveling and how it handles keeping track of what gets put where within the flash memory. Basically, it sticks the whole table in DRAM, so it has like enough RAM on it to be able to have a copy of that table live all the time. And you have to do stuff like that in order to be able to handle 4K random writes continuously, which is what this is engineered to do. So they're claiming 19,000 all the way up to 36,000 4K random write IOs per second, and then that scales up as you go higher in capacity on what size drive you get. And the sequential write speed starts at 200 and goes up to like 460, which is basically the interface. You're basically saturating the interface there as you go higher in capacity as well. So you hit the highest numbers for that at the 400 gig point, the 400 gig model point. And then there's also an 800 gig model, basically the same specs though. Uses a 25 nanometer flash. That's the flash that we've seen Intel's been using for a long time. There's actually a wafer sitting behind me, that same stuff. And they are carrying over the same specs from the Intel 9... Oh, get over here.
Whoa,
910
easy.
series. Remember the 910 series, PCI Express?
Yeah.
Hey, was that bootable?
No. It wasn't.
Oh,
Awesome. Nice job.
well done.
Yeah, I was pretty pissed about that, by the way. Okay. So they carried over the same spec as far as 10 writes per day for the lifetime of the drive. So the drive has a 5-year lifetime and 5-year warranty, and you can write to it 10 full volumes of capacity per day. So basically, you can overwrite it 10 times every day for 5 years. And the flash should last that long, which is good.
That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of writing. That's so they're and that you have to do a lot of sort of magic to make something like that happen, like that much endurance, right? The firmware has to be really good. The write amplification has to be, not bad, because I think the block size of this flash is like a meg. So potentially, if you had if the whole drive was full and you're doing like 4K random writes, you could potentially do one 4K write, and that translates into writing a meg worth of, as far as what was written on the flash level goes. So if it can pull that trick off, more power to it. It's definitely a good endurance drive. It's supposed to be shipping beginning of next year. We actually have samples hopefully soon. And the NDA is already passed, so it's basically as soon as samples show up, I'm going to try to get something up there for everyone to see how fast it actually goes on the random writes. The real big deal here is that, and this is actually something I've been looking at with a bunch of different solid-state drives, trying to figure out a good way to present it to the readers as far as this data. And just lo and behold, this drive happens to be a perfect one for this type of a thing, is that when you do random writes to a solid-state drive for a long time, and they slow down. And you don't really notice it too bad, but it's like occasionally the drive will sort of get wrapped around the axle when you do another write to it, because it has to sort of pick up the mess from what you did before. So every once in a while, as an SSD, especially consumer-grade SSDs, they will actually like hiccup. Now, usually you don't notice it because they're still pretty darn fast on the whole, but if you're talking about a data center where you have a cluster of these things and they're running virtual machines for people and there's a bunch of stuff going on at the same time, you don't want this kind of thing, right? You don't want any kind of stutter. Because if you put a bunch of solid-state drives in a RAID and one of them does one of those stutters, it basically hangs the whole thing, like the whole array, right? All the other drives have to just sort of wait while this one is waiting. It's like, okay, come on, today, Junior, that kind of thing. No, really, that's what happens.
Today!
Yeah. So what Intel is claiming is that if you hit this particular drive with 4K random writes, and this is at a queue depth of 1, so this is where you're just hitting 1 and you're waiting for it to answer, and you hit it with another IO and you wait for it to answer. 99.9% of the time, it will not exceed a half a millisecond. Is that what that is? 500 micro? Yeah.
500 micro.
500 micro is a half of a...
Sure. Math is hard.
Right. Okay, so that's actually a really low. Like if you're hitting a drive with a bunch of I/O, like an SSD, I've seen SSDs go, 10, 20 milliseconds when they've really been hit with random I/O for a long time.
Yeah.
They'll hit higher and higher peaks as far as how long it takes them to respond to subsequent I/Os after that. So if this thing could do that, that's a pretty good number, really. But it's an enterprise drive. It's going to cost more. Although I will say this, as far as cost goes and as far as enterprise drives go, these are actually the cheapest I've seen because they're going for a little bit more than $2 a gig. So, I mean, we're around $1 a gig for consumer.
Right.
Well,
This
this
is
isn't
two.
SLC memory either, or chips.
It's not SLC, but it's the 710 series, which was also the same exact kind of flash, the 25 nanometer MLC high endurance technology stuff. Same stuff, just newer drive and actually higher endurance rating on this. And I don't know, that's got to be like a third of the price of the 710 series ish, something like that. 710s are pricey.
Right.
So yeah, this is basically replacing something else, the previous product. It's going to replace it for a fraction of the cost and have better specs, higher endurance, that sort of thing. So Intel's sort of pulling another thing they did like they did with the 335 series last week.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, bring those prices down, I say. I don't
Yep.
care if it's for servers or desktops or laptops or tablets, whatever it takes.
That's cheap enough for like sort of crazy-ish $5,500 case power users to buy, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I guess. Would we recommend? I mean, yeah, I guess. Okay, would we recommend it? No, but we wouldn't recommend a $5,500 computer most of the time either.
Correct.
So I guess that makes sense. Do we know when we'll have one of these in to test and play around with?
They're supposedly on their way,
Okay.
but they're not shipping until after the new year. So,
Gotcha.
we'll have a review up, but people won't be able to buy them.
Suckers. Okay,
Sorry.
that's all right. Let's move on and talk about AMD launched server processors this week. Oops.
Just one or two of them.
Just one or two of them. Josh, you want to tell? Did you read up on this? So these are Piledriver Opteron 6300s.
Correct. Now, these are all based on the same Piledriver cores as we see in the FX 8350, 8350 chips that I reviewed a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, sure.
They have all the enhancements of Piledriver. They got a couple other enhancements internally that should help out server loads a little bit better. They're saying in some applications it's about 24% faster than a similarly clocked or 100 megahertz slower 6200 series based on the original Bulldozer Zambesi type architecture and cores. They're a little bit more power efficient and they run a little bit faster, but I think they're actually not a whole lot more expensive than what we currently have. One of the interesting things that you're kind of showing on the video is the die shot.
Oh, right. Bring that back
And
up.
it looks like two of those Piledriver, 8 Piledriver modules with 16 megs of cache all on one chip. Well, that's a photoshopped image there because that would turn out to be something like 640 millimeters square, which kind of breaks down all the reticle physics and laws that we have about light and chip manufacturing. So actually, these chips, these the dual module, 8 cores apiece.
So basically, this chip up at the top that looks extremely large. It looks long.
Yeah, it's
two different die.
Photoshopped. It's two different dies together that they just nicely placed, and they're trying to fool people and maybe Intel, and I don't know. But anyway, it's essentially both those chips are connected via substrate, and if you look at the actual chip itself, you can see it's that long monster, which the new server you're running this on, does it have those, or is it the C32?
We have the C32s.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're running, the system we're running right now is Opteron 4284s, which are 8-core Bulldozer base, so the previous gen tech. They did announce the one that we would like to try next is this one, the 6386 SE, which must be special edition, is a 16-core processor at 2.8 gigahertz, turbo up to 3.2 slash 3.5, but 140 watt TDP. So, these processors, I think, relatively speaking, are inexpensive. If you look down kind of in the area we're at, the 6328, 8 cores, running at up to 3.8 gigahertz, $575. kind of steep, but for the server world, for the server market, not too bad, I don't think.
No, not at all.
So,
and that's one area that AMD has always been very, very good at. Certainly the original Opterons, they were able to charge a whole lot more for those, upwards of $1,500 to $2,000 per chip, but they just simply do not have that kind of luxury anymore. And so we're looking in between, $200 for a low-end server chip up to, I think, $1,100 for their top-end model, which is the the dual die, 16-core unit that runs at some 2.7 gigahertz, I believe.
For people who haven't seen it, that picture I threw up there is not stretched or photoshopped in any fashion. That is like the correct aspect ratio of that processor.
Yeah, and this was something that we wondered for a long time with AMD, why they didn't connect multiple chips together with these hypertransport cores that all of their chips come with. And it really wasn't until last generation that it was the Magni cores.
Yep.
Many cores that they finally were able to get that working on a single substrate. So it's kind of interesting stuff. They've had hypertransport for ages, and they only got the multiple modules to work on a single substrate just literally a couple of years ago.
Very cool. This is interesting. This is kind of SSD news, but I just put it in here because I thought it was kind of cool, something I wouldn't have expected from Samsung. But apparently, Samsung has teamed up with Ubisoft to include Assassin's Creed 3 with 840 Pro purchases. So if you buy a Samsung 840 Pro, which I believe Allyn is still a big fan of, right?
Yep.
128, 256, or 512 gig model, you can get a copy of Assassin's Creed 3 absolutely free and kill you some redcoats.
And they said for a limited time, and I could not figure out exactly how long, but for now.
Yeah, I mean, the reason, it's not the big deal. We see pack-ins on video cards all the time, but I just thought it was interesting. We've even seen some pack-ins with like Intel processors to see Samsung, who is really not known to being an enthusiast company in any shape or form, you know, kind of trying to get into that group of people, saying, hey, a lot of enthusiasts are buying SSDs. It's hard to differentiate now between a lot of these things, so let's come up with this awkward but still kind of cool combination. And that's this press release is way too long for that story I just talked about. Look at that.
I know, and that's I just cut and pasted.
Pretty good deal if you can find a good price. What's an 840 go for today?
Well, the 840 Pro is about
same as in town.
I don't know. It's hard to say because the 830s have been sort of blowing out by a lot of people.
Wow.
So the 830s have been much cheaper cost per gig, but I think they're around $1 a gig.
And you can get the red coat killing Assassin's Creed 3 included with that. Not a bad deal. Also interesting gaming news: limited Linux Steam client beta begins today. I was not included. I don't think any of us were included. I think many of us applied. We were not approved. Must have been because of OnLive talked to them about it, I'm sure. Obviously. So
our friend Ven Stone got in.
There you go. Let's ask him. Bring him on. Let's find out what he thinks. Because I think this, if you take into account Scott's editorial from a couple of weeks ago about Valve's stance on Windows 8 versus openness and that kind of stuff, that if this is successful, could really start to change things.
You've heard the totally true news release that Half-Life 3 is only going to be on Linux,
that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. God, that is so stupid. Yeah, look, trust me, I think Valve is as altruistic as a large corporation can get, but they're not going to piss away money like that. I don't know, is there a list there are 26 games, I guess, that are part of the beta, and Tim has done a very good job of including them here. Amnesia, the Book of Unwritten Tales, let's see, anything, what are the big ones? Frozen Synapse, Serious Sam 3 BFE, yep, Team Fortress 2, Trine 2, World of Goo. So none of other than maybe Team Fortress 2, nothing in there stands out to me as being huge mainstream. But if you want huge mainstream,
not Space Pirates and Zombies? You don't think Space Pirates and Zombies is mainstream?
Okay, no, not. Let's say maybe not mainstream's the right word. How about like AAA? I hate that term too, but yeah, close
You mean
enough.
like Left 4 Dead 2?
Well, Team Fortress 2 is that game. If you want a widespread PC game, Team Fortress 2 is it. So I'll be curious to see if they release any kind of usage information about this. They're not a public company, so they usually don't release that kind of information. And you assume if Team Fortress 2 can be put on this relatively easy, that you'll see Left 4 Dead 2, Half-Lifes if you want to go down that route and that kind of stuff. So I was hoping to get in this beta because I want to install. I just wanted to basically go through the process of I'm going to build a Linux gaming machine. Let's see what it's like. Install Ubuntu, install Steam, throw in a video card, and let's see what happens, right? And see if it's as easy, how close we are to it being as easy as Gabe Newell wants it to be, right? So, yeah, if anybody listening is in the beta, wants to talk about it, wants to maybe take some screenshots and write a little story about it and see what your experiences are, I would love to have some content like that up there. So send me an email, ryan@pcper.com if you want to. I would be glad to help you out with some of that kind of stuff. So interesting. Anybody any more thoughts on that Linux stuff?
I try and leave my Linux at work.
Yeah, I try to not use it ever personally. But that's because my only experience with it is like servers, and whenever it stops working, I get very angry. So
That's why we don't let you play with raids either.
I don't do that anymore. Yeah, I'm screw it. I'm done with that. All right, one last story that I just threw in here at the end. You guys may not have seen it in the show notes yet. Zotac updates the ZBox AD06 with a new AMD APU. So this is a dual-core Zacate. Claims up to a 10% boost in performance versus previous ZBox. So basically what we're looking at is a super small form factor mini ITX shaped system, I guess, that takes... Josh, I guess this is the same Zacate... Is it a Brazos platform, I guess? That has been around for a while, that they just kind of nudged forward a little bit, increased clock speeds, increased efficiency a little bit, and Zotac is releasing a new kind of small form factor machine for this. You can see here, it is VESA mountable, so you can attach it to the back of your monitor. That's always a cool thing to do. It's the AMD E2 1800, which I had never heard of before this press release.
Yeah, it's kind of an upgrade part, but it's not anything exciting.
Not a big upgrade part.
It's still the same 40 nanometer product, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It
and
is.
it was rebranded, but it is slightly faster. It's 1.7 gigahertz dual core with the same.
Kind of interesting. It's got USB 3, gigabit Ethernet, SD card reader. You know, I mean, if in terms of like small home theater PC or a box that you just hook up to the back of a monitor that's like a client PC for your mom or something like that, something you keep in the kitchen. And they're relatively inexpensive. How much do these things cost? Where's that price?
Doesn't matter. It'll still work better than the Atom-based one.
This is true. This is true. Yeah, indeed.
It says it's 18 watts.
Really? That would be an impressive feat. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the chip is 18 watts. The entire thing altogether probably does
18 watt TDP. All right.
The entire thing is probably with a drive. Still, it's going to be a 35 watt part.
Not bad.
The entire box. It's nothing.
The last story I wanted to bring up, this just because I thought it was funny. Apparently, there's a thing going around where Razer released a mouse that I think that the headlines are a little bit misleading. When a mouse requires an internet connection, you're doing cloud wrong. And the idea was, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, guys, but apparently a forum member bought a new Razer mouse, installed the software. You have to log in to install the software. And the idea behind it is actually pretty cool. So it has all your profiles, your button configurations. It's all kind of cloud sync. So if you take your mouse from your desktop to your laptop or to another machine, you format your machine, you install the software, log in, it downloads all your profiles. The idea is cool, but apparently when he installed this, the server was down.
And he couldn't get his World of Warcraft macros to work? Seriously?
He said he finally called Razer. He tells me the activation server's down and I won't be able to use the mouse until it goes back, and we'll only be able to use it as a standard plug-and-play mouse until then. I ask about a workaround to use the mouse offline. They say there is none. Supposedly, once the mouse is activated on the computer, offline mode will work, but it needs to upload my profile and activate my account first, and since their server's down, it's not going to happen.
And the people at Razer laughed and laughed. It was better than cats.
Bet they are. I bet they are.
I mean, it's kind of petty, unless it was something like where the server is going to be down for a week or something like that. I could see being upset about that if it's a few hours. If it turns out to be, move on, I guess. But it's just like, that's stupid. That's dumb. Even Ubisoft is removing the always-on connectivity requirements of their
Ryan,
future games.
We live in a world where a mouse with 18 buttons is actually a selling point.
Hey, the mouse that we're going to use to play Battlefield 1942 has probably not 18 buttons, but close to it. And I'm gonna bind so many things to those buttons. It's all going to be shoot.
I'm gonna bind the shit out of it.
Bind reload. Because
hours
reload is
later.
real in this game.
Yeah, I know, and it doesn't automatically reload. I was trying to remember how to play, and it didn't work out well. All right,
And you won't be able to because their server will be down.
No. So that was the last story of the week. Okay, hardware software picks. Here's what we've got. We talked about it a little bit. I came on over to the shipping department of PC Perspective and bring over my picks. We discussed these last week, I believe. We have the Corsair Vengence MM400. So here's your size, right? So it's big, but it's not enormous, right? So hold it back here, right? So this is 352 by 352 by 272 millimeters, and it's 2 millimeters thick. It has tuned micro texture surface, not just a regular micro texture. It's tuned, expert grade tracking, a non-slip natural rubber base, and an extra large surface area, and then some things in French that are probably the same.
So that was
Do
a
not rub
PR
on
person's
parts that
wet
may
dream,
be
just coming up
latex
with that.
sensitive.
Okay, well hold on here. Let me show you. Let me open up the inside of this. Let me show you the
Uh-oh.
actual mouse pad. So this is the mouse pad, right? So it's semi flexible, semi not, right?
And they want how much for this?
I don't remember.
Because that was one of the things.
Somebody
the
looked
price,
that up
I
in the
wanted it
chat.
to be a meter square. At that price, seriously.
But damn it! It says it's effortless glide, optimized for gaming sensors,
I usually pick those up at the drugstore.
expert grade tracking. Nice. Okay, so anyway, here's the other one. This is the MM200, and this one is obviously a little bit more flexible since it fits inside this tube. It has a glide optimized textile surface, different surface. This is designed for gaming mouse sensors. That's good since it's a gaming mouse pad. And it has the same non-slip natural rubber base. This one has a much cooler packaging to it, if you will. And here is the size of it. So
It's the same size.
it's close. I don't think it's the same. What's it say on here? This one is 360 by 300. And the other one was what? 352 by 272. Bigger. So it's this one is actually bigger. Yeah. So here I can do this.
You could put it over the other one.
I can handle this. Watch. Here we go. Here we go, guys. Live. Here we go. Oh nope.
Up. Okay, so it's a little...
It's a little bit longer and just a tiny bit past
Wider.
the edge of it, right? But it's flexible. So if you want to mouse on round surfaces, this is the one for you. You can wrap it around it. I don't know what are the price differences. Did anybody see? I hate to solicit the chat room in such a way, but the pricing on it, I would be curious to see. This is actually, these were the ones that were the prototypes that Robert from Corsair gave away at QuakeCon. So if you got one of these Corsair mouse pads from QuakeCon, you have a prototype of the Vengence MM200 mouse pad. I will game on one of these on Battlefield 1942 and report back how excellent the mousing is. Somebody says use wax paper. The Brady report says use wax paper. Never thought about it.
It works.
I guess And somebody says their mouse has a 3.6 megabyte per second transfer speed. I don't know what that means either. All right, let's move on to the next one. I'll look up the prices of these mouse pads so I can report finally at the end. Jeremy, what is your pick for this week?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, I am supporting Movember, and like I say, you are guaranteed related to somebody with a prostate. So if you want to give a donation, go right ahead. There's a link to my page and my team's Movember site.
Nice.
Where you can slowly watch the beard grow in, or you can just watch every Wednesday and see the beard slowly grow in.
Who is that guy?
Yeah, that was me last week. But for my pick of the week, this Thermaltake fan did some really good duties, living on a rich mixture of cat hair, tobacco smoke, and bachelor emanations. But I sort of realized that I needed to replace it
Bachelor
when the
emanations?
cat never noticed when I turned the vacuum on. He usually used to take off running, but after a while, he just didn't even notice me turning it on. So I figured it's time for a new case fan. I picked up, it's already installed, but it's the Antec Advance True Quiet Pro 120. I picked it up for $12 at Linus's store. You can get it online at NewEgg for about the same price. And I am now stuck continually checking to see if my computer is still on, because the bloody thing is quiet. Dead quiet. And I haven't noticed any change in temperatures whatsoever on the graphics card or on the CPU. So the airflow is still meeting what I had with what was, even to begin with, not the quietest of the fans.
Sure.
So, hey, if you want to upgrade your fans, you don't want to be spending $25-$30 on what is, I'm sure, a great product from, the Corsair high static pressure fans, various other ones you can get for $11 or, just under $25 for the pair. Your system will be silent. It will be just cool as it was, and you too can enjoy the joys of, did that bloody thing crash, or is it still going?
The sounds of silence.
Yeah, it's been a change, because I'm not kidding. The cat suddenly stopped realizing the vacuum cleaner got turned on.
Nice. Sorry, I'm still investigating the mouse pad. Josh, what do you got next?
Hello, Furball, my old friend. No, I'm not going to go into the sounds of cat hair.
Thank you.
I needed a new mouse. I beat the old one into submission, and after about 2 years, it was time. And so I got the latest Logitech G500, and it's actually a pretty nice unit. I've been happy with it. It's gray, and I just did back on my keyboard thing, but
Hey, Josh.
hey, what?
Welcome to the club.
Oh, you guys are adorable. It's like you're touching the same
What did I do
mouse.
with my stinking thing? There's piece
How do
of
you like the scrolling wheel of Infinity?
That's kind of cool. You click that on, and it's smooth scrolling. You
What-
click it
what-
off, and you got ratcheted scrolling.
Where have you
know what I
been?
mean?
like that. That's been around since probably Battlefield 1942 was
Ryan.
released.
Ryan, when did he get a cell phone?
But you were talking about it like it was something you just found out too.
Me?
How you like
No.
that infinite scroll wheel, huh? You see
I've had
fancy
this-
tech, yeah?
I've had this thing for like over a year.
It's been the first mouse that I had that had
My
that
Logitech
feature.
mouse that goes with me in my backpack has probably been in my backpack for 7 years. This was okay. Here we go. This was the very first one to ever do that. This is the MX Revolution.
Okay.
Let's see when that came out.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen.
2006.
Or
It came out in
Yeah,
2006.
that.
it's a 6-year-old technology.
Okay, so
Just saying, welcome to the club. No, it's adorable. I like it.
Whatever. Be that way.
I don't know. I like
You know,
the fact that they stopped.
if you want to, micturate on my pick, then you go right ahead if it makes you feel better.
What was that vocabulary word?
what was it?
Chew.
Micturate.
Micturate. Okay.
The act of micturation.
That's not the same as using it as a sentence. I'm sorry, I need it. Could you please use it in a sentence?
Stop micturating his
Spelling
ass.
bee?
Terrible.
All right, so
Next.
new mice. Allyn, you have 2 here. Which one should I click on?
It's to do the first one first. Okay, so I used to have this pair of not insanely expensive, but Shure earbuds.
Yep.
They have those higher end, whatever. I had
Sure.
like a pair of the, what was it, E3Cs, but like since they came out. So I owned them for like, I don't know, more than 5 years, right? So they definitely lasted.
So about the length of time that the infinite scroll technology has been around.
Yes, thank you, yes. Okay, so one of the earbuds kicked the bucket finally. It just ceased to be. It was no more. Whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, so I figured, what the heck, I'll get a new set of them. They're a little pricey. I got the mid-grade models. It's the they say 315 on them, but the model number is like SE 315. And
CL.
Well, CL is like the clear ones, and then they have like a black
Oh, I gotcha.
model, I guess. The CL is just for clear.
See pricing in cart. Oh my god.
Yeah, they're kind of pricey. They have a set that's like $100. This is like the next step up from that.
I was thinking,
Those-
oh sweet,
listen,
some new headphones for the. Nope.
They go all the way. This line goes all the way up to like 515 or 520. Some model that's like $600 for the pair. It's ridiculous. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not-
essentially the plastic is polished by Thai prostitutes, and so
yes,
it's
basically
a lot more expensive.
So the cool thing I noticed about their new line, though, is they have this different like adapter that's the whole cell phone, volume up, down, answer the phone with the microphone built into it and
Sure.
stuff, right? And I was like, well, how does that work with the headphones? Well, it's actually pretty cool because the new models, if I can, damn it, the cord's too slippery. Do it. There we go. The cords disconnect, like at the earbud.
Wait,
So
what?
So you can
Yeah.
leave it in your ear all
No.
the time.
no,
No, but I kill earbuds all the time.
the cord.
I just buy
right?
cheap ones because I kill them all the time, and it's because they get caught and they yank, and the connection always gets torn at the ear. But
Yes.
so if
My Bose
they
headphones.
deconnect,
Yes. You can buy, and if you break the cord, you can buy a replacement cord for much cheaper than your insanely
like
expensive.
115.
Yeah.
that is a little bit much.
I just made that up. I
No,
don't know if
it's
that's the
cheap.
case.
Actually,
I hope
the cord. Well, I mean, they come with their own cord, right? And then if you get this funky adapter cord thing, I think it's like this is like $50, I think, for the adapter cord thing.
not. You're right.
I don't know. That's
Yeah, I'd
kind of
rather buy 2 pairs of $10 earbuds twice a year.
Yeah, but it's like a spare cord for it, right? So if you break that one, you have like the other one still, and whatever. I don't know.
Chris in the
I
chat
will say
room.
this.
Chris says for $179 you can get a lot of maybe like low rent musicians to come play live for you.
Perhaps, and yeah, I will tell you this. These are the kind of earbuds that force you to put lossless audio stuff on your playback device.
I don't really want to get too deep into it because I don't want to start getting into the audio thing. But even
Yeah,
with
yeah,
earbud stuff, you're seeing that type of high quality music. Like I get the over ear cans, the stuff that Ken has, and all that kind of deal. But the in ear stuff, I've always, even the higher quality things that I have tried, just seem limited on bass and that kind of stuff.
And
Oh, you mean
soundstage.
the earbuds are limited on bass?
Yeah.
The driver isn't big
okay.
enough. It can't actually reproduce the proper bass tones.
So this is like there's one model up from this that actually has much better bass response because it has dual drivers. It actually has like a bass driver.
Stick out of your ear, kind of like
Yeah,
the
but-
growth.
No, it's the same
Okay.
size.
That's bass boost. That's not like
Did-
a
does-
60
did
mil
Dr.
driver
Dre
or anything.
design
It's,
it?
it's not capable of producing
But
sound
these-
waves of the
These
depth.
are good. These are good down to like I think 18 hertz, and it's apparent. I mean,
Oh.
they're really good. So I don't even need. I don't see a
they do
need,
that?
and I usually
I'll-
am sensitive to bass response.
I'll
on the whole
bring
range.
some. I'll bring some rubbing alcohol, and then I'll try your headphones at CES.
Okay.
So are we ready for some archive type material real quick?
Oh, hold on. I think Alan has another one.
Oh,
What?
Alan.
No, that was it. The cable.
Oh, okay. The other link.
yeah,
too.
the
Okay,
other
I
link
gotcha.
is the adapter for the smartphone stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, never mind.
Okay, when the original BF 1942 multiplayer Wake Island map came out, I think I played that for about 4 months straight, daily, 5
Oh,
hours.
good. You
because
should
it
be
was
good at this one.
Oh,
such
God, yeah.
And it
new
came with a mouse.
gameplay. I mean, you're running around in a Jeep just running people over. You go flying. You
It
got,
is pretty
you got
awesome.
landmines on your hood. It's awesome. And so, of course, I had to buy this when it first came out. It's one of the originals. And then, I got all the expansions. But then they had, a few years later for only $19, fully updated with all kinds of extras
Uh-huh.
of this monstrosity.
Uh-huh.
And, it served me well. And now for hardware. hardware. If you remember when Ariel got litigated out of existence by Creative and we only had Creative products,
Yep.
this little number came out and was actually kind of a high quality sound card. I don't know, did you guys ever use one of these?
I did.
Mm.
And this is around the same time. It's 2001, 2002, I think. So yeah, the
I
Philips,
can't see the name. Hold it up.
it's
at the
the
bottom.
Acoustic Edge.
Okay. All right.
Kind of a classic, and it had a really interesting backplate, in that you had 5 stinking cords that came off of it. Let me unwrap this real quick.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Why do I keep all of this crap?
I don't know, actually.
Hey, Josh,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
asking,
the
why
question.
did I forget to actually look for my copy of 1942 before this started?
Yeah, so there's the
Just
cord
download it on
cable
Origin.
stuck into the back, and then all of the outputs. Saved up space, and they allowed some inputs. It was, a pretty high-end card for the time, and it was nice competition for Creative, but it didn't obviously last long.
All right.
Will this wrap around?
What?
Oh, will this wrap around?
Are you gonna break some hardware on the stream?
no.
He's doing
here.
he's doing bachelory things over there.
Careful! Make sure you get your pants on.
What is
What pants?
What on earth are?
I'm trying to aim a camera.
It's unsuccessful so far.
I know. I'm hoping to make you all nauseous.
Oh my God! What is that? It's a map of something.
there.
All right, change over.
What is that?
It's a breakout box of some kind.
It's
I can't tell.
Oh, this is not pointing very well.
there we go. It's buttons.
I don't know.
Down at the bottom here.
It's a microphone.
Creative
Shotgun
Inspire 5.1 digital. Yeah, you're not going to focus.
It's not focusing.
That is Breakout Digital 5500 Creative Inspire 5.1, so that even if you could not buy the card that would support 5.1, it could be emulated by hardware on not only Dolby Pro Logic, but Dolby Digital.
We've learned that Jeremy has 5 different ancient game maps somewhere on his walls.
No, those are real treasure maps. Thank you.
Oh,
Well, no, Rome Total War is behind there. You still can't see the Morrowind. I've got a Might and Magic 7 back there, I believe.
holy crap!
My office is too
yeah.
near.
I just sort of put them on top of each other, and every once in a while the pin will come out and we'll fall over, and I'm like,
Reveal a new
man.
one.
oh, and I forgot. And God, here, see if I can name this one right.
What the?
Knights of Mithranor,
I don't even know what that is.
Forgotten Realms.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
God, I hated that game.
All right.
So while
was
Jeremy's
awful.
playing his games, he's like, "Where was that?" Oh, okay. I was over there.
there it is. Yeah.
Well, where
Hey,
you
that
hang
looks
your
sharp.
maps?
Okay, before we leave, I needed to show you this mouse stuff real quick. So apparently the MM200, there are 4 of them. I forgot. Compact, Standard, Wide, and XL. Standard is, we'll say 14 by 12. We're using inches here now.
Which one were you showing?
Well, of the 200, I had the Standard.
Okay.
Okay, that's 14 by 12. It goes up to 18 by 15, essentially, which would be a lot bigger. And then if I do the 400, let me make sure. There's only one 400. Okay, so the 400, the one that's rigid, is only a single size, whereas the floppy, big floppy here, is available at much larger sizes.
Oh, so when it's floppy, it's bigger?
Right. No,
That doesn't
that's
make
the
sense.
general rule of thumb. Yes, floppier
that-
is bigger.
You know,
Oh God, he's getting up, everybody.
I'm getting out the
Standing up.
Ripper
Be
XXXL.
prepared.
Everybody wants to show off their junk, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I know what
Yeah.
you mean.
You know,
I hope I don't.
and this thing's
but
kind of big.
just show us or don't.
I showed you last podcast. Do you really want me to whip this thing out?
No, I don't actually. Okay.
We saw it last week, and I'm still laughing about it.
Yeah. Hold on. Okay. All right. This is the end, finally, of the 226th edition of the PC Perspective podcast. Did I miss anything? I don't think I did. Thank you to our sponsor. Thank you to everybody who joined us on the live stream, pcper.com/live. If you want to play Battlefield 1942 with us, we don't have an origin group for Battlefield 1942, but if you want to add me, you can add me. My origin ID is Ryan Schrout, all one word.
I don't even know if I have you as a friend.
Case
on that damn
insensitive.
thing.
So if you add me, then you'll be able to see when I'm in a game, and I assume if it works like Steam, you can right-click on my name and join the game.
It's not Vigil.
No, it's not. I don't
There
know
you
what
are.
to say.
Hey, you're away. Damn it.
I am. I'm over here, and my computer's over there, so I am technically away. So 1942, we're going to play that for a little bit. Not for too late, but we'll play around for an hour and a half or at least. That's it. PCPro.com/podcast is the URL. Please share it with your friends so they can come either watch us live, watch us recorded on YouTube, or download the podcast from PCPro.com/podcast, all the different subscription methods there. Still send us an email, podcast@pcper.com. I totally forgot. I had my list of winners for the Symphony keys. I will email those people tonight or tomorrow, likely tomorrow since I'm going to play Battlefield tonight. We did pick our 10 winners for that, so congrats to those guys, but you don't know it yet. More of that stuff to come soon, so let's close this out so we can get started with some gaming. I'm Ryan Schrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Alan Malventano.
And everybody had their microphones ready, appropriate timing. Thanks, guys.
Terrifying, eh?